Assalamualaikum. I'm Aksha Tariq, the editorial head at CXO Media, and I'd like to welcome all of you to one of our series, which we brought back after a whole year. This is CyberSectober 2023, kicking off at the tether end of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is celebrated in October worldwide. Through the next few weeks, what we will be doing is gathering different CIOs, CTOs, CISOs, information security experts to really understand and bring together, tapestry of security talks, threat panels, risky chats, and much more without any malware intended. So we're going to have, some light and easy conversations, bringing Pakistan's Cybersecurity Month together, which is called CyberSectober. This is hosted by the CXO Masters Academy and the CISO magazine celebrating its 15 years of work in Pakistan. So my first session today, I'd like to welcome our esteemed guest, Mr. Atif Aziz, the CIO at Khushhali Microfinance Bank Limited, and Mr. Asif Iqbal, the CISO at MCB Islamic Bank. Before we dive into the conversation, just to set a little bit of the tone, we've seen that the waves of disruption caused by the pandemic have yet to settle, and new challenges continue to emerge. As businesses evolve, so does our threat landscape, and security teams have often found themselves in, perpetual state of understaffing, tasked with, formidable responsibility of safeguarding critical business assets, and while cultivating trust and navigating the intricate landscape of compliance also. We're also going to, through our session today, unpack critical insights together, and we thankfully have an interesting mix of a CIO and a CISO, as we were just talking offline, that the role in unregulated industries for the moment is still under formation. I'd like to now officially welcome our guests and have them do a brief introduction about their work portfolio. So Atif Sab, if we can start with you and then move on to Asif Sab as well.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Atif Aziz Ahmed. I work at Khushhali Microfinance Bank. Have been with the bank for the last 7 years. I have about 28, 29 years of technology experience. I started with my career, I started with IBM. Then I moved to the brokerage industry with equity trade, KSB trade, KSB Direct, and then moved to US and Canada for a few years, came back, started a position as a software engineer. All my background is IT, nothing to do with information security, but as we know, information security is not just the role of the information security people. It's a cross-functional role. Everybody needs to think from an information security perspective. So I do my part in collaborating with the information security team here at Khushhali Bank. As you would know, many banks, I think almost all of the banks, the information security unit does not report into IT. It reports into either risk or compliance or any other function. Sometimes it reports directly to the CEO. So same goes with Khushhali Microfinance Bank as well. Here, the information security function resides with the chief risk officer who reports to the CEO. So we collaborate as the IT team, we collaborate with the information security team. They devise the policies, the guidelines, a law, of course, in consultation with us. And then we implement those policies and guidelines. We execute those guidelines on the ground. So we are the workers, they are the supervisors in that sense. So that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Asif Sab, over to you.
Okay, myself Asif Iqbal, and currently I'm associated, as Aksha said, with MCB Islamic Bank for the last 4 years. Before engaging with MCB, I had a diversified background. I started my career as a software developer, then I moved into the banking career. I served there 7 years. Then I moved to the airline industry. I served 5.5 years there. Then again, I jumped back to the banking industry. My role mostly involved in the infrastructure and the data center designing and the network implementation side. Later on, when I joined airline industry, then I got that dual role where I was managing information security as well as infrastructure. Then I moved to the banking again, infrastructure side, and in MCB Islamic information security. As Atif said, I'm totally agreed. It's a collaborative effort with the information technology and information security to work together because without information technology, IS cannot implement the controls that they wanted to implement. That's regulated by in the banking industry, regulated by the State Bank of Pakistan, and there are continuous, digitalization is going to happen in the current environment that gives us a lot more challenges because the threat landscape is constantly evolving and there are multiple controls that needs to implement, but at the same time we are, as a nation, the brain drain has been happened due to the factor, retention of the staff, and the quality of staff is not available in the market. But as the session is going forward, we will definitely talk about in detail on this topic as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think my first question to both of you would be, how the roles have really evolved in an organization. We used to look at, the designation itself or the role itself of a CIO is fairly new, I would say, and it's only been a bit over a decade where it's become more and more common. But how have you seen that evolve and, really now work as an important business function? Because initially it was, of course, more on the infrastructure side and more on the support side. But now there's business stakeholding within the IT department also. And, both of you talked about collaboration and both of you talked about how, the need to really make this work, it has to be a collaborative effort. So if both of you could, just comment on the collaboration of the C-suite and how the IT and IS departments are working together, if they are at all. So we'd like to hear that from you.
Okay, I just want to comment as a single point that what I assume when I was in the IT side, they are totally, I assume, are doer function, right? They have got the task, they've got the project, they have a roadmap to implement that project and go live. But when I joined as a CISO role, that's more towards the compliance side. They need to ensure the security controls, implementation, and accordingly, they are responsible to give a go ahead to make the project live. So they have a different responsibility, but yes, once the IT delivered the project to IS team needs to verify the controls that regulated by the either State Bank of Pakistan, or if there is another industry, then they need to follow some standards, ISO or NIFT, whatever.
Thank you. Atif, over to you.
So the role of CIO, originally it all started with the role which you all know is called CTO, which is the Chief Technology Officer. It was primarily responsible for the technology part of the business. But the role of the CIO and even the technology officer has evolved now, and what the bank's management and the board expects business decision making from the CIO end as well. So even if a business stakeholder wants to take another new initiative, the CIO has to provide the best, most cost-effective way of doing or getting that initiative done. Even the CISO or the Chief Risk Officer, for instance, in our bank, there's one initiative that he's trying to take, and I am as an advisor to the CRO in that perspective, because from a technology point of view, I should know as the CIO what is the most beneficial and the cost-effective way of doing business and taking those initiatives. So that's the role, that's the expectation that the CEO and the board of directors expect from the CIO. He's just not the technology guy anymore. He's a collaborator, not with the information security only, but all the business stakeholders and all the other functions, even the HR department, for instance, if they want to implement the new human resource management system, what are the newer technologies implementing right now in the world? What is the best way of doing it? So any advisory role has to be expected from the CIO for the board as well as for the CEO as well. So the role is just not the technology guy anymore. The expectation is to have the business knowledge of the domain that he's working on, and also also advise on the best way of doing that business, the most cost-effective, efficient way of doing that business. For example, I'll just give you an example. We have since we look after the information technology of the bank, we have a surveillance system here, which is a surveillance system implemented by PTCL in all our branches. There are about 200 plus branches of Khushhali Bank. The surveillance industry has also evolved with the availability of AI and machine learning and different alert mechanisms in the security measures. So it's not just looking at the screens by two people that's more effective nowadays. The effectiveness comes with the AI and machine learning algorithms working with the cameras installed in the branches so that they can give us alerts of any abnormal situation happening in the branch. It's nearly impossible for a human being to give us an alert by watching 200 screens on 2-3 screens. So the best way of doing it would be incorporating AI and machine learning and surveillance. So that's the advice I give to the surveillance team, which is housed in the administration and operations division of the bank. So the advisory role is one thing that is expected of a CIO.
So Asif, moving on, and I've collected some notes from what you said earlier on. At this point in time, what are the most pressing cybersecurity challenges that your organizations or the like have faced, and how this collaboration has really so we heard an example where Atif shared what they've done internally in terms of collaboration. But from a cybersecurity perspective, what are some things that it's a pressing challenge right now, and it's just not going to happen without the support of say the CIO or the IT department?
Okay, as I said earlier, the most important challenge that we as in the security side as a nation we are facing, the brain drain of the security people. You must have seen that how much people have left the country due to the inflation that has been a strike overall in the countryside. Due to the reason why I lost, there are potential pupils who are working with me initially, and in the different conferences we had discussed how to retain that pupil. But unfortunately, at that moment of time, at the current moment of time, we have not got the answer, because the amount they are getting or offered from outside the country or remote work job, we cannot maintain that level. It is still in the discussion. That's the most demanding challenge. We don't have the potential candidates available. If available, then we cannot pay them as per their expectation. That's the reason why they are constantly looking after here and there, whether they have joined, but they joined as a stepping stone. That as soon they got an offer, they left the country or left the organization. So if you just evaluate the current market situation, you got the idea how a big turnover in this information security side. You can see my post in the LinkedIn as well. I'm constantly posting for the job advertisement, and in the bank was working in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. Constantly they're searching for the right people. They're not constantly staying for the longer period in the bank. And in the security, almost 2.5 months, they need to understand the infrastructure, the requirement, the policy, the regulations. Then they start working, and after 6 months, because as a study I saw, in 6 months, an employer left the organization. So that is the biggest challenge. Inflation definitely hit. After pandemic, inflation definitely hit the market.
And from a cybersecurity perspective, are there any internal or external challenges that you are currently facing, or the cybersecurity departments are facing, especially within your industry? Because it is a high industry, of course.
From the regulation, yes, we are constantly facing challenges because they are demanding a lot, and unfortunately, that requires a hefty amount of budget. The first thing, the right people, the second thing, and the right implementation. Because in the live environment, that is when you are implementing security controls, there are risks involved, because if there's something wrong, the overall infrastructure or ecosystem, there's a possibility that go down. So and unfortunately, when we have in a technical term, we have a testing environment available. In testing environment available, the entire ecosystem is not available, which is actually available in the production side only. when something tested in the testing environment and when we are going to implement in the production side, there are risks available. So that is the third important thing. For that, still people are not accepting security side uh, uh, um, very well. Still, they are reluctant, hesitating sometimes. When we talk about this needs to be implemented, because if you know you want the system needs to be available for the longer time, the configuration needs to maintain, then definitely we have to build the environment. We have to understand the security parameters. So that's my take.
And on the same front, Atif, I'd like you to sort of also add in how do IT and IS teams collaborate to enhance that cybersecurity awareness, right? We did talk a little bit briefly about the threats as well. And that's something which, you know, more than external forces, I think there's a lot of, there's a high risk of, you know, insider threats. And of course, that's also been proven by research and actual incidents reported. Are you working together to bring about or enhance cybersecurity awareness and training among employees to, for example, reduce the risk of human error and insider threats? Or are there any successful strategies that we can hear about?
So awareness is again one of the challenges in any organization. But what we are doing is, of course, yes, we are sending awareness emails, there are awareness training programs, there are even programs that are mandatory for each employee to take, because so we have a learning management system already hosted in Khushhali Bank, whereby all employees can go online and take training sessions, and their statistics are gathered by the HR department who looks after the training. And if there are any mandatory training programs, like gender sensitivity is one of the mandatory training programs, security awareness, like phishing attacks is one of the awareness training, one of the programs in the awareness training. So that is going on. It's a continuous effort. It's an ongoing effort. It's not just one-time exercise. And once the awareness trainings have been concluded after certain times, then they are again simulated phishing and security attacks. Okay, but it's in collaboration with the IT department. Sometimes they don't even tell us, and they generate simulated phishing emails. The last time they did that, there was a statistics that many people clicked on the phishing links, and then the awareness, then that generated the phishing simulation training awareness program. So that's how we keep on imparting awareness and trainings to all the employees, and making them mandatory courses where the CEO also gets statistics at the end of the month, how many people have taken this course. That actually generates the or forces them to, you know, take those trainings. So even I had to take that training, although I know about phishing a bit, but I had to take that, because when my name comes up to the CEO that he has not taken the course, then I have to answer. You know, so that's why you make those training programs as mandatory. So awareness is one of the challenges. The other challenge that Asif also talked about, there are similar changing challenges on the IT side. The lack of availability of trained resources is one of the challenge in IT as well. And then because of right after COVID-19, everybody was started getting aware of the remote working jobs, and then that has generated a lot of challenge for the IT industry in Pakistan, because now people with right skills have remote jobs available. They are paid in dollars instead of Pak rupees. So they take care of inflation. They take care of flexibility of not coming to the office at all. And they're happy working in their homes or whatever they want to reside on a cup of coffee, not doing and not coming to the work. They don't have to mark attendance. And so that's the flexibility that the people in Pakistan with skill talent is getting. And we are now facing that challenge of asking them to come to the office, paying them lower amounts of salaries for what? So that is a challenge that we also face in the IT industry. The third challenge is the budget constraints. So because of the inflation, not only individuals are impacted, but the organizations are impacted as well, because the fuel prices and the dollar amount hikes, dollar rate hikes, the budgets have gone down. And that has a significant impact on not only IT, but information security. The technologies and tools available in information security require money, and these are all in dollar. And now many of the information security services, even in Khushhali Bank, for instance, are hosted on the cloud. So the cloud services, I'm sure Asif would know better, they are all paid in dollar amounts. So the budgets are also decreasing, and we have to the expectation from information security and IT team and all other resources in the organization. The expectation is to do more with less. So that is the challenge or overall. And we have to do a juggling act sometimes, balancing. We are going right now going through a budgeting exercise for 2024. And that is the juggling act that we are doing. So we just have a meeting right after this session with the CFO and the finance team. We provide them with the first cut of the budget.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's not going away anytime soon.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So these are the three main challenges that everybody is facing today. But we have to live with them and find out ways to live with them and adapt around them, make workarounds through it. So like if you're not getting resources, you have to think out of the box to see how we can get this done. There are now organizations like Systems Limited in Pakistan and other organizations that are working on information security managed services. So we have employed some of those services in Khushhali Bank as well. Yeah. Because that takes away the headache of retaining the resources and hiring the resources and keeping them happy. That's the headache of the partner then. So these are other challenges, but we have to work around those challenges. That's what we are paid for. Yeah,
I think that's part of the evolution of the role of the CIO, and I think we're going to continue to see that, right?
Right.
So Asif, building onto that, are there any procedures or protocols, that your team and the IT team within your organization have in place for efficient incident response? Atif have also talked about a simulation exercise, right, where multiple some layers in the organization have had to, take that test, no matter how robust your knowledge has been, right? So in complementing these multiple departments and their roles, how has that also evolved in terms of efficient incident response and recovery? Because that's a key part of keeping your information security, keeping your information secure.
Okay. Yes, incident response, very much important term. Previously, when the cybersecurity was not involved, earlier there was only incident response related to the infrastructure, system failure, network down. That was the incident that we constantly, trigger at the point of technology side. But since the cybersecurity involved, there are other variants are like the phishing simulation. If someone has been phished, how to respond, who is involved, and what's the next action that needs to take place. Yes, we have some collaboration with the IT. We have an incident response team that's called CERT, Cyber Emergency Response Team, and they have the roles and responsibility agreed with the TAT, with understanding. And there's a playbook we call in the security that is already established, through which teams are coordinating with each other. If something happens, someone has reported, or something has triggered in the security dashboard, and they need to contact with their immediate line manager first, and they need to contact with the next line of team who know what needs to be done. This quarterly has been simulated. Sometime we manually trigger that. Sometimes something happened, then they are aware how to respond, how to quarantine that issue, how to isolate the system if that needs to be done. So yes, there is an agreement between IT and ISO and the business team as well, that these are the protocols, these are the situation, these are the incident classification. Accordingly, we need to take that action that is understood, that needs to be remind them on constant basis, so they are aware that. So this already has been established here.
My next question would also be on, what security technologies and tools have proven to be most effective within both your organizations, and how do the IT and IS teams evaluate and deploy them collaboratively? Because we've also seen, and both of you also talked about, the rapidly evolving cybersecurity solutions, and staying ahead of, it's part of your role automatically to stay updated and make those informed decisions and really guide whether it's the C-suite or the board on making those informed decisions on technology adoption also. So any one of you can start asking. We can start with you.
Okay, first let me start. Likewise, in IT, the people who are technical like Atif must be agreed. There is a standard baseline. When you are set up in an IT environment, there's a baseline infrastructure that needs to be set up in the start. Then once the business strategy will be evolved or finalized, accordingly, multiple controls or multiple system will be the part of the infrastructure. Similar like that in the information security, there's a baseline infrastructure initially that needs to be available, like a centralized log management system. That's the first requirement for the establishment of the security operations center. That's the first requirement that needs to be on board. Later on, as per the requirement, you need to involve your portfolio. If you want to set up an offensive security team, there are certain tools that are required. If you need to set up a threat intelligence team, there are other tools that needs to be required onboarded. And if you want to set up a compliance with respect to the ISO or NEFT and whatever risk management strategy, then there's a GRC tools available in the market that needs to be set up if you have a less workforce available and you want to constantly review your compliance with the standards. So these are the three dimensions that I work on it. And in the different conferences I have seen, these are the standard infrastructure or setup of the IS organization has been set up. Later on, we can more find out for the maturity of the organization. You can set up, you can see what is the appetite of the organization, what needs to be available with the infrastructure. Then IT team has a very important role. They need to know the pros and cons, the requirement of the deployment to integrate with the system, and definitely with the testing. With the help of IT team, with the help of the operations team, the testing is required before going to live. There is no stoppage in the security, what I have seen. Every day we have seen different attacks, we have seen different types of vectors, we have seen different landscape. And we found there is another thing we need to be available in the infrastructure to secure. Even Google, LinkedIn, Netflix, like organization who has a very robust infrastructure, even Google has been hacked, has been compromised in the recent time. And the biggest bank of the country has also been compromised, so I don't want to take the name, but yes, so there's no limit to implement the controls. There's a constant learning, there is a constant needs to identify the need of the organization, and accordingly you need to plan your controls.
So from my perspective, in our organization, our main objective is to look at information security holistically first, okay? And then we have to define the architecture of the information security setup in the organization first, looking at the information security holistically first. So the way we employ it is a defense in depth architecture, whereby multiple layers of securities needs to be in place at multiple levels. And this is just not on the infrastructure side, but on the application side, the social engineering side, the human side. Every layer has to be reinforced from the security perspective. It ranges from what kind of emails that you want to write, what are the keywords that you use, and then we have, so all the tools and technologies that come have to be driven from the architectural level and the holistic review of the information security posture of the organization. And only then you would be able to identify which tools to employ and which technologies to employ and which tools to let go. And only then, once you have done this analysis of identifying the tool, it will be easier for the information security and the information technology team to convince the board of directors and the management and the financiers, the CFOs of the organizations, to invest into those technologies. It gives you a convincing case if you're coming up from top down, that if you should So the holistically, I need to have this tool. If you just make a case that I need to have a tool, nobody would understand unless you tell them what the tool would do to the organization or what the lack of having that tool would do to the organization. So it has to be looked at holistically, and only then you can understand what tools and technology needs to be made. And then the work comes on how to use those technologies, where to get those tools. So, and then there are different options available. Now, as I said, Asif would know better, of course, there are tools and technologies now available on the cloud. The services are available on the cloud. These services, the best part of those services, although they are a bit expensive, but the best part of those services is that they are if you get good services on the cloud, they are actually hosted by organizations. They are very well versed and skilled in those areas. Not anybody, not anybody around. So an organization cannot become skilled in every area of information security. So you have to partner with a skill set or the area provider, service provider who is very much skilled in that specific area and the best in that area. Our job as the bank or an organization is not to have the best skill set in information security. Our job is to, in my sense, our job is to partner with the best in the industry worldwide. And if you partner with the best in the industry, your headache of looking at information security from a closed lens perspective goes away, because they are now watching your organization's security posture from a broad lens. They have all the expertise, they have all the exposure. Their job and bread and butter is to do that job. Our job is to run a bank, for instance. Our job is not the information security, or even in the IT industry, I would say. I try to partner with partners locally and internationally who I think we think they are best in their services in that area. So partnerships are very important. I think that's what my viewpoint.
Thank you. And my next question would also be on, we're still looking at a lot of generative AI solutions that are still in development and also deployment in certain areas, right? How can organizations today, because we are looking at, and I think the sector, especially that both of you represent, is one of the most forward-looking in terms of technology adoption as well. How can organizations like yourselves prepare for the adoption of such technologies while minimizing potential risk and vulnerabilities? Because this is something which is still a work in progress on its own. But at the same time, if you need to stay ahead of the curve, you need to understand and also be the early adopters, right?
So AI gives altogether a new perspective to everything. That's the latest aspect of everything. AI is something that gives a wrapper around everything that is going on already in IT and information security. So now you have to look, whenever you look at anything in technology or information security, you have to have the AI perspective in your mind as well. And AI, of course, is benefiting both IT and information security, but at the same time, it's also benefiting the hackers in the world as well. So hackers have the same capability to utilize AI for the attacks and generating threats, just like the defenders have the ability to use AI to defend those attacks. And AI, just like I said, when you work with a partner who is well versed in their specific areas, they have already started utilizing AI and machine learning algorithms into addressing security threats and alerting mechanisms. Like, for instance, IBM QRadar is employing SIEM systems that are also employing AI. And then there are tools on cloud services that are employing AI technologies to better, deflect and defend attacks and threats from different perspectives. So that is my viewpoint.
Thank you. And Asif, because you're part of that team who needs to do that vulnerability assessment and evaluation when it comes to deploying these. And we're also looking at a lot of AI solutions from the cybersecurity perspective. What kind of protocols do you have in place, or are you looking towards in the next in the new year that's coming up?
AI adaptation is in the roadmap because it's a future. but as we are already behind for the cloud adaptation in Pakistan. You are aware there is no local, Atif will agree that there is no local partner who are providing cloud services better from the international provider like IBM, Amazon. They are providing a very, very good solution. But still, in the Pakistani market, there is no provider who are basically providing a secure environment with the cloud services. I'm agreed as well with Atif that yes, our main job is not to maintain that level that we are currently engaged, but at the same time, that has given the opportunity to the other providers like Systems Limited, Rapid Compute, and what else, who are providing managed services part. But it's still, I'm in constant talk with them. They are also facing the challenges to for the retention of their staff. They are constantly, giving training to their staff. But again, it will take time. Like still, we are struggling for the cloud services. We have got the state bank regulation, the framework for the cloud adaptation, but there are challenges. As a technology team member, I know the challenges there. Uh, but for the just same like for the AI is the new thing that has the pros and cons that has to be evaluated so far, and still there is no government level and the state bank level regulations are there for the adaptation in the banking side. But I must say it's a future. It will be adopted later on. We have started the study, but it will take some time until it mature overall.
My next question would also be on, in 2023, we've also seen the data protection bill. So far, we had been following, a lot of organizations have been following global best practices as to, information sharing. Now, of course, there's a local, say, version of it, which is obviously more applicable to our industry. How do you sort of, bring that into, there are, of course, global standards that we still need to follow, especially being a part of the regulated industry or the financial industry at large. But how does that really impact, or I'd just like to get some comments and feedback on how you, as IT and IS leaders, view that as a progress or not for our local industry.
Okay, may I continue on that part? Okay. Yes, the data regulation is there. Regulation from the national site is available for in Pakistan. And previously, we all were working in the banking side or other industries. We have already know the only thing that matter is the data that's come to the information later on. Classification already there. They have classified either 3 levels or 4 levels as per the requirement. If there is a government level entity or like the military, then they have a restricted information as well. So work has already been started. Somehow it's been there. It is important to know your data, to classify your data accordingly. They need to give the data protection, and you must have the policy, because in the basic part of IS, that is the important thing available, that is data protection and the access management as well. The both are very, very important. Who needs to access that data and how the data needs to be protected. So that are the two common phenomena that's basically linked with each other. So yes, work already has been done, but yes, there's a lot of thing needs to be done. In the information security part, already infrastructure is available in the banking, like the big banks, but they have started, like the recent circular in the state bank, banks needs to implement the information security management system in the banks. For that, now effort has been increased, and hopefully by the next year, all the banks in Pakistan know their data protection levels and the classification as well.
So being part of a bank and in a fairly highly regulated industry, we have to follow regulations, of course, and State Bank has been very well versed in data privacy and data protection. All we need to do now is to implement policies and tools and technologies to prevent, data leakage. So, for instance, in Khushhali Bank, we have a DLP implemented already, data leakage prevention protocol, and also technology that is being used here. So if I write you an email with my CNIC in it, it will block that email. It will not go to you. So just an example. So the policies and guidelines are already there, being part of the bank and a regulated industry. We're following those policies and nothing much else to think about except for if we have any comments on those policies. And whenever State Bank releases any policies or guidelines, they ask for comments and feedback from the industry before finalizing them. So all our feedback is already incorporated in those policies and guidelines and regulations that they release. We need to now implement those policies and procedures, and through using good technologies, effective technologies, cost-effective technologies and tools. So in Khushhali Bank, we are trying to do that, of course, keeping our budgetary constraints in mind as well, but because it's not that we have, and nobody has unlimited funds available to buy anything. So we, just like I said earlier, we have to manage with what we have. Do more with less. That's the protocol we follow, but we try to do it. So Alhamdulillah, there are things managed so far. The challenge that Asif has pointed out, that resource crunch challenge and brain drain out of Pakistan due to inflation, and that's a challenge that everybody in technology and information security is facing. One of the ways that we are trying to wrap our heads around that challenge is we are actually partnering or trying to partner with companies like Systems Limited. They have a big workforce. Of course, they are faced with that challenge as well. But since they have a bigger workforce, just like not like any other organization, they have about 5,000-6,000 employees that they have. I think more than that. And they have specific in information security area. They have many employees than, for instance, Khushhali Bank or even Asif's organization may have. So that's the benefit that we can get. And if so, we're working on a solution or a partnership with them, for instance, to have managed services, not only just managed services, but also team augmentation. That's one area that we are working on. So they're going to provide us the team, and it has to be financially viable again, because I cannot go back to the board and the management and say, earlier we used to employ a person, they used to just get 100 rupees per month from us, and now we are going to get Systems Limited to give us that same person or similar person for 200 rupees. It has to be within 100 rupees. That's the game. So it has to be a win-win situation, and we have to work on with these challenges. These challenges are here to stay, as you said. They will not go away. People are going out of country because of the financial and the social and political situation in the country, and that challenge will not go away. So we have to look at it from that perspective.
But I'd also like to add in here that the challenge of resource augmentation or even retention is perhaps not unique to Pakistan, and world over we are looking at, because I think that the pace at which the threat landscape or the IT landscape it is evolving, it's not the same as the talent coming out. So there's that mismatch, and I always laugh about, since I've joined the industry, I think this talent gap has been there, and it's only the conversation has only increased, and we don't see it whether in Pakistan or abroad. We don't see that moving away. So I think, as you rightly said, we have to look at more innovative or collaborative ways in order to make things work, because as you said, everybody is after the same person. So what you offer them versus what the other person or organization offers them is really going to be the differentiation factor, right? So we will move towards
the challenge is not unique to Pakistan, but the rate of brain drain has increased significantly.
Yeah.
Because it's like just like tap water. If you open the tap too much, the water will drain out quickly. That's the issue with Pakistan. It was always a challenge in Pakistan, but the recent political situation in the country for the past year and a half or 2 years, I would say, has opened the tap now all the way. And that is the rate of water being released through the tap is very much higher than the intake in the tank. And that is the issue.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to move towards our last question for today, which is on future preparedness. As we look towards the future, despite just talking about brain drain and all the challenges we have, we do, as people and, people representing various organizations, we do look at forecasting also. I'd like to ask both of you, how do IT and IS teams, plan to adopt and prepare for new cybersecurity challenges and an ever evolving IT landscape, right? We're looking at a lot of digitization efforts. We're looking at a lot of integration and collaboration and partnerships. But what kind of preparedness do you need at this point? And what are some strategies that you're looking at in deploying in 2024? So we can have a rundown from both of you on that.
So as far as preparedness is concerned, I think all of the things that we have discussed so far that actually is related to the preparedness of an organization, the awareness. And the awareness part is not only in the peers or the employees of the organization, the awareness has to be at the board level as well. Board level and the management and the CEO level. Just like I said, we're going through a budgeting exercise, and the board needs to be made aware how important is information security for the organization's business. Okay, that's the link that as the CIO and the CISO needs to be making in board presentations. Information security is not just to secure something; it's the requirement to do business now. If you don't do it, your business will get disrupted. The reason that you have invested into this bank will go away if there is a breach of information security. There's just one incident, okay? And with the coming of AI now, I can mimic even you and ask your employees to resign, or ask your employees to give you a charity, or give you 100 rupees each one of you. You have 5,000 employees and they each give you 100 rupees. You are a wealthy person now. There have been many instances where people have hackers have successfully mimicked their CEOs and deprived the employees of millions of dollars in the world. Mattel was one example. There was another company, I'm sure Asif would know better. So awareness is one of the areas that we need to be very prepared in. Awareness is part of the preparatory drill in the organization. Then at the same time, there's a lot of talk of zero trust principles being implemented. Of course, as I said, the more security that you have, the less user friendliness that you would have. But we have to create a balance between the two. For instance, internet and mobile banking applications of the banks that are in the world now, they are employing innovative ways of logging in onto those applications. Some of the applications are very cumbersome. You have to have a 10-digit, 10-character password, which would have one special character, one dot, very, very restricting conditions. So that could be eased out. So there's a balance that we need to create between how secure we want to make our organization and what should be the user friendliness level. We have to look at the probability of threats as well taking place, probability of risks actually materializing. Because just give you an example, a lot of people take flights, airline flights. What is the probability of an air crash? Okay, and what is the probability of air crash as compared to a probability of a car crash on the road? We are not much afraid of the car crash. We are very much afraid of the air crash, okay? Because in that event, 200 people die at the same time. So in a car crash, 4 people, 3 people die in one incident. But if you look at the frequency of the car crashes on the road as compared to the air crashes, there's a lot. I mean, the probability says that air crashes are very less frequent. So if we implement a security measure that takes care of air crashes, that will be I don't think it would be a good investment. What we should do, we should be implementing security protocols for the car crashes, car accidents. So preparedness is everything, and you have to invest into the right technologies, look at the probability and statistics. That's what my main viewpoint is.
Thank you very much, Asif. Asif, over to you.
I will not take much time because a maximum thing has already been covered. But yes, the one thing that needs to be, should be the plan for everyone for the next year or onwards to shift from the capex-based model towards the OPEX-based model, because that is a need of the time. Whether you are going to adopt the cloud-based services, you are going to adopt for the managed-based services, or you are going to adopt for the detection-based services. It's all should be on your nodes on the OPEX based model. So whatever you use, you should pay. We should reduce our capex investment because of the current challenges that would continue, that would not stop. The quality employer will definitely leave as soon as possible. So yes, we should transfer our this risk towards the other organization who are basically having a core responsibility to manage that part. For that, we have to go for the OPEX based model. So that's my take and the final word for this to manage.
Just to add to what Asif is saying, I agree with him. One of the reasons of not investing into capex based modeling, I agree with him, is because technologies get obsolete very quickly. Okay. And if you have invested a lot of money into something that you are hosted on premises, you have given money and that's just one-time cost, and you have gotten the technology and that's hosted now, the next day that technology will become obsolete. What would you do then? So then you'll have to replace that technology, refresh that technology. Instead of doing that, we should get a better partnership OPEX-based model. That's what I was talking about. So that it's their headache to ensure upgradation and updation of those technologies that they are employing to provide us the security posture to the organization. Instead of us investing into the hardware and software ourselves and putting those on premises in our organizations. So CapEx, although from a CFO's point of view, CapEx-based models are much more beneficial. But from an information security, information technology, and in this age, that's not a good model because the technology will get obsolete. So we have to convince the CFO, what happens if this technology gets obsolete? We'll have to ask for more money from you. So instead of doing that, let's have an OPEX-based partnership model with an organization whose core competency is providing information security services to an organization. And that's their headache to employ resources, to employ the right technologies, right tools, right AI-based alert mechanisms, provide us the security to this organization. I think that's the way to go. But the convincing part is one thing that I and Asif have to do with the management and with the board.
Thank you. Is there any other anything else that you would like to add?
No, it's on from my side as well.
Thank you.
I think from my side as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us and joining us for the inaugural session of CyberSectober 2023. Through this whole month, we will bring you activities on security talks, threat panels, risky chats, and much more. And we're hoping to gather a lot of insights from the local industry. And as we always talk about, we don't have that single playbook for the industry, and that's something that we wish to sort of uncover through these sessions also, and how collaboration, I think one thing that I've really taken away from this session today has been collaboration, and how that remains key in not just exploring or uncovering the cybersecurity threats, but also threats that we face as organizations, whether it is brain drain or whether it is employee retention or other sort of challenges that we have to navigate. So hopefully these sessions will help facilitate a discussion that highlights the importance of collaboration between IT and IS teams in addressing cybersecurity challenges, upcoming trends, threats from AI, while also promoting awareness within organizations about the vulnerabilities that we face. So thank you once again, Atif Saab and Asif Saab, for your time and insights today. And we hope to continue these conversations for the rest of the month. So we'll hope to see you around again. Thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.